The Desperate Dive. October 30th, 1942. 1:15 a.m. The Mediterranean off Port Said, Egypt. Salt spray stings like needles as the destroyer HMS Petard pitches in the black swell. Depth charges have just ripped the night apart, boom after muffled boom echoing up from the abyss. The air reeks of cordite and diesel, thick enough to choke on. Lieutenant Anthony Fasten, 23, Royal Navy, wipes sweat from his brow, his tin helmet crooked under the glare of searchlights. Beside him, able seaman Colin Grazier, barely 20, with that boyish mop of hair plastered wet, clutches a rope ladder. And Tommy Brown, the 16-year-old canteen boy, yes, 16, all gangly limbs and wide eyes, hovers at the edge, heart hammering like a riveting gun. The U-559 is down there, mortally wounded. German U-boat type VIIC, her hull groaning as she floods. They've got her finally after hours of cat and mouse in the moonless dark. But she's not surrendering quietly. Bubbles erupt on the surface, oily and frantic, carrying the screams of her crew. Fasten knows the stakes. Intelligence whispers this wolfpack hunter might hold the keys to the Kriegsmarine's unbreakable fortress, Enigma. The machine that sunk 100 Allied ships in the Atlantic, ghosting convoys to watery graves. Right, lads? Fasten's voice cuts the chaos, steady as steel despite the tremor in his gut. We go in, we grab what we can, papers, books, anything, no heroics, in and out. But his eyes say different. This is it, the edge of the knife. The rope slaps the waves. Grazier goes first, lithe as a seal, sliding down into the void. Brown follows, cursing under his breath, the cold water shocking his skin like a slap. Fasten last, signaling the winchman above. They hit the conning tower slick with algae and blood, real blood, warm and coppery, mixing with the brine. The hatch is ajar, a black maw belching air. Inside, chaos, twisted steel, flickering emergency lights, the acrid bite of shorted electrics. German voices bark in panic, Kapitän, Wasser, evacuieren, but the sub's spine is broken. She's settling fast, bow dipping, stern clawing skyward. You can almost hear it, the groan of buckling plates, the slosh of inrushing sea devouring bulkheads. Grazier ducks low, torch beam slicing shadows. Papers swirl like confetti in a storm, signal logs wet and ruined. But they are strapped to a chart table, sodden but intact, the Wetterkursschlüssel, the short signal book, and beside it the Holy Grail, a sheaf of code settings, the second edition, fresh as yesterday's orders. Brown's small hands dart out, stuffing them into his sweater, the wool bloating like a sponge. Got him, sir, he gasps, voice cracking not from fear but triumph. Fasten nods, fierce pride flashing in the gloom. More, keep looking. They scramble deeper, past the radio shack where an Enigma squats like a squat metal oracle, rotors glinting mockingly. No time to wrestle it free, the deck tilts 30 degrees now, water lapping at their knees. A bulkhead buckles with a screech that sets teeth on edge. Move! Grazier's boot slips on old slick grating, he catches himself, hauls up a canvas bag heavy with manuals. The sub shudders, a death rattle, as another wave of sea surges in. They burst topside, lungs burning, hauling their prize. The rope ladder sways wild in the chop. Brown climbs first, sodden bundle clutched to his chest like a newborn. Grazier next, then Fasten shoving from below. Petard's crew leans over rails, arms outstretched, come on you bastards, as the U-559 stern lifts vertical, a steel leviathan in her final spasm. She slips under with a roar, sucking flotsam, and nearly them back down. The trio collapses on deck, gasping, shivering in the wind-whipped dawn. Wet codebooks slap against salt-crusted planking. Fasten, chest heaving, meets Grazier's gaze. We did it, call bloody hell, we did it. But as the petard steams for Alexandria, urgency coils like smoke. These scraps, Wetterkursschlüssel, Kursignalheft, they're not just paper, they're cribs, footholds on a cliff face of ciphers. Radioed ahead, captured U-boat documents, en route to GC and CS, government code and cipher school, Bletchley Park, the green-shuttered manor in Buckinghamshire where shadows wage war with shadows. Where men and women in tweed and cardigans bend over bombs that whir like mechanical hearts, chasing phantoms in perforated tape. By noon, the documents are airborne, crammed into a mosquito's belly, racing northwest at 400 knots. At Bletchley, a young wren's named Joan Clark, sharp-eyed, unassuming, receives the crate in Hut 8's back door. Her fingers, ink-stained from endless crib sheets, tremble as she peels damp pages. Alan Turing's ghost haunts these walls. He's off on his own enigmas now, but his bomb bobbies hum in the racks, 96 rotors spinning in electromechanical fury. Clark's boss, Commander Edward Travis, peers over her shoulder. Weather shorts, he mutters, and signals, God if this aligns. The implications hit like a flak burst. Shark, the beast that's blinded them since February. Four-rotor Enigma naval variant gobbling Atlantic traffic hole. Convoy slaughtered, SC-107, 11 ships gone in November alone. But these books, they crack the weather cipher's shell, yield predictable cribs for the beast's belly. Hut 10's boffins pounce, cross-referencing with captured signals from months back. Patterns emerge, cribs form. By dusk, a trial run on the bomb. Rotors whir, lights blink, and asterisk click. A fragment decrypts. Gibberish? No. Coordinates. U-boat positions, raw and real. Basson and Grazier never see it. Back in the Med, Petard takes a torpedo 3 weeks later, both lost, heroes unsung till posthumous George crosses. Brown survives, scarred but silent, the boy who snatched fate from the deep. At Bletchley, though, the air crackles. Shark stirs in her lair, but how long till she breaks wide open? And what happens when she does, not just to the wolves, but to the Enigma's iron myth, the machine that was supposed to last 1,000 years? The Whirring Awakening. November 1942. Hut 8, Bletchley Park. The chill seeps through the wooden walls like a thief, fogging the single bulb that swings lazy from a rafter. It's 3 a.m. and the air hums, not with the wind off the chilterns, but with the relentless churn of the bombs. 30 of them now, elephantine beasts crammed shoulder to shoulder, their drums thumping like overworked hearts, rotors clicking in a mechanical symphony that drowns out the distant hoot of an owl. Joan Clark rubs her temples, the green eyeshade perched on her forehead like a crown of exhaustion. Her pencil snaps mid-note on the crib sheet, asterisk damn asterisk, and she fishes another from the chaos of her desk. Scattered intercepts, T-rings on graph paper, a half-eaten biscuit going stale. The Wetterkirschlüssel lies open before her, its Gothic script a mocking riddle, pages warped from their sea bath but legible under the lamp's jaundiced glow. With her ciphers predictable as clockwork, she murmurs to no one, voice lost in the din. Predictable, that's the word. The Germans, arrogant in their isolation, recycle phrases like asterisk, Wetterbericht asterisk, weather report day in day out, cribs, Turing called them, hooks to snag the Enigma's belly. With the short signal book, those hooks sharpen. Hut 10's meteorologists have cross-fed data, barometric fronts over Biscay, storm tracks from Trondheim, align the keys and Shark's 4 rotors, that cursed beta wheel added in 41, start to stutter. Across the room, Harry Hinsley, the lanky naval liaison with his pipe perpetually unlit, paces like a caged fox. He's 27, Oxford polish fraying at the edges from nights like this. Clark, anything. His voice is gravel, edged with the desperation of a man who's seen too many sunk telegrams from Admiralty. SC-122 just limped in last week, 12 merchants gone, the convoy's spine snapped by shadows they couldn't name. Shark's black months, February to now, avoid where U-boat dispositions should be. Dönitz's wolves roam free, fat on the Murmansk run, picking off PQ-18 like fish in a barrel. Joan straightens the bomb stop reels, halting with a pneumatic hiss. She leans in, breath held, as the cryptogram unspools on the output chute, perforated tape curling like a serpent's skin. Letters bloom, not the nonsense of asterisk XJZQ but plain German. Drop Ice Bear position 52 and 15W, rendezvous 400 Zulu. Positions, patrol lines, the veil tears. Harry, she says, soft as a prayer, it's reading. Bloody hell, it's reading. The hut erupts, not with cheers that would wake the Y Station girls in Block D, but a ripple of nods, shoulders unclenching like bowstrings eased. Messages flood the menu, 50 intercepts from the past week alone piled like cordwood. The bombs feast, menus optimized overnight by the girls, teenagers mostly, fresh from secretarial school, their fingers flying over plugboards with the grace of pianists. By dawn. Hut 8's output teletype clatters, decrypted traffic, raw and urgent. U-515 to BDU, convoy HX-212 sighted, 48N40W attack at will. Admiralty gets it within the hour, mosquitoes screaming south to Liverpool. HX-212 scatters the wolves before they close the jaws. You can feel it in the marrow, the shift like a tide turning underfoot, not victory, not yet, just breath. The first full week of Shark reads since the blackout hits like manna. Convoys reroute around the packs, ASW hunters from western approaches pounce on the stragglers. Losses plummet, November's butcher's bill halved by month's end. In the Admiralty's war room, maps bloom with fresh pins, red for threats, green for ghosts dispelled. Churchill cables Roosevelt, the Battle of the Atlantic turns. But at Bletchley, it's quieter. Travis convenes the inner circle in the mansion's library, fire crackling low, portraits of dead generals staring down like judges. Shark's cracked, the commander says, spectacles fogged from his teeth. But it's fragile, one change in the monthly keys and we're blind again. Around the table, Deniston, the old spymaster with his walrus mustache. Welchman from Hut 6, eyes like chipped flint. In Turing shadow and absentia, his equations scrawled on a blackboard like battle plans. They know the math, Enigma's 159 quintillion permutations, guarded by daily settings, plugboard wirings, rotor orders. The books from U-559 buy them November, maybe December. But the Germans, they're not fools. Captured subs mean whispers in Berlin. What if they smell the leak? Inslee leans forward, knuckles white on his folder. It's more than that, sir, the reads. They're too clean, patterns in their traffic, asterisk same bloody salutes every dawn asterisk, we're stripping them bare. If we keep this up, it's not just Shark, it's the whole naval net, and if they twig, his voice trails, the unspoken hanging heavy, procedure 20. The Nightmare Protocol. If Enigma's compromised, the WWII pulls the plug, new machines, fresh ciphers, and the war's dark heart resets. Joan, eavesdropping from the hall with a tray of files, feels a chill unrelated to the draft. She's seen the toll, colleagues cracking under the strain, walking the grounds like sleepwalkers, the park's ducks their only confessor. But this is the precipice. The codebreakers have danced on Enigma's edge for years, Polish exiles smuggling blueprints in 39, Turing's bomb birthed in 40, the first army reads saving Dunkirk. Shark was the unbreakable, the beast that nearly choked Britain. Now cracked wide, it dooms more than U-boats. It dooms the myth. The Fuhra's asterisk Wunderwaffe asterisk, the cipher that cannot fall. One whiff of vulnerability and panic ripples through OKW. They overreact, change everything, and the Allies lose their window. By mid-December, the reads pour in, 80% of traffic real-time. Hut 4's plotters track wolfpacks like hounds on a scent, asterisk fail asterisk pack dismantled off Gibraltar, ungestum scattered in the Azores Gap. Tommy Brown, back in England on leave, reads of it in the Times asterisk. Bleak headlines, asterisk U-boat menace recedes asterisk, and wonders if his sodden bundle sparked it. He doesn't know the half. At Bletchley, the whirring never stops. Bombs run hot, girls rotate shifts in the canteen's fug of spam and PG tips. But in quiet moments, Jones stares at the Wetterkirschlüssel, its ink fatting like a bruise. December's keys loom. Will they hold, or does the crack widen to a chasm? And then, a decrypt from BDU itself, Dönitz's lair in Lorient, flashes across the teletype, Verdacht auf Kompromitterung. New Verfahren prüfen, suspicion of compromise. Check new procedures. The hut falls silent, the bombs thrum suddenly ominous. Have they been made, or is it a ghost in the machine? The echo of suspicion. December 1942. The mansion's library at Bletchley Park. Rain lashes the leaded windows like impatient fingers, drumming a tattoo that mirrors the pulse in Harry Hinsley's throat. It's just past midnight and the fire has guttered to embers, casting long shadows that dance across leather-bound tomes and the faces of the damned. The decrypt sits on the oak table like a venomous spider. Verdacht auf Kompromitterung. New Verfahren prüfen, suspicion of compromise. Check new procedures. From BDU, Befehlshaber der U-boot, Dönitz's own fist, terse as a guillotine blade. Not a full alert, not yet, but the first crack in the facade. Hinsley traces the words with a nicotine-stained finger, the paper crisp under his touch, smelling faintly of the teletype's ozone bite. Commander Travis slumps in his wingback, pipe clenched unlit between teeth yellowed by endless vigils. Routine caution, he says, but his voice wavers, a man reciting litanies to ward off devils. They've lost boats before. U-559's crew babbled under interrogation maybe, or just jitters after the convoy routes. Around the circle, Alastair Denniston, his mustache a salt and pepper hedge against the chill, Jerry Morgan from Hut 4, the diminutive Welshman whose plots have saved more hulls than any corvette, and Joan Clark summoned from her bomb menus, her cardigan buttoned wrong in haste, eyes hollow from 18-hour shifts. They lean in, a conspiracy of whispers, the room's air thick with pipe smoke and unspoken dread. You can taste it, the acrid tang of fear, sharp as the winter fog rolling off the lake. Shark's reads have been a revelation, December's keys slotted in like a safecracker's dream thanks to the U-559 windfall. Wolfpacks eviscerated, drumbeat off the US coast, reduced to stragglers limping for Brest. Wild Voton ambushed in the Denmark Strait, 3 U-boats to the bottom before they loosed a torpedo. Admiralty's ultra dispatches, carefully sanitized, no hint of source, reroute on 154 around the Jaws, saving 40 merchants laden with tanks for torch. Churchill in his map room pins the Atlantic blue again, muttering ultra asterisk like a talisman. But here, in this wood-paneled crypt, the victory sours. That decrypt isn't isolated. Others trickle in. Queries from OKM, Oberkommando der Marine on signal security, oblique memos about enhanced rotor randomization. It's the patterns, Joan breaks the hush, her voice a scalpel, precise and unflinching. She slides a graph across the bays, intercepts plotted by volume, salutes whether queries the Kriegsmarine's bureaucratic heartbeat now exposed. They stick to form, TBD for torpedo boat destroyer, every report. Jeffich filed like clockwork. We've cribbed it all, predicted their cribs. If they're sniffing compromise, it's because the wolves are starving. Sunk rates up 300% since November. Dönitz can't ignore that. Hinsley nods, slow as a noose tightening. He's seen the reports, U-boat crews returning hollow-cheeked, morale fracturing like thin ice. In Lorient's pens, concrete bunkers scarred by RAF tallboys, skippers mutter of ghosts, Allied hunters materializing from missed depth charges bracketing them with unholy accuracy. One decrypt from U-515's log, enemy forces anticipate patrol lines. Recommend dispersion. The death knell for wolfpack tactics, Dönitz's crown jewel. The Grand Admiral paces his HQ, a converted casino reeking of sauerkraut and despair, poring over charts where red crosses multiply like measles. "The English know too much," he snarls to his staff, fist slamming teak. "Not proof, not yet, but enough to seed doubt, enough to trigger audits." Back at Bletchley, the meeting fractures into action. Denniston dispatches riders to London. Height Op 20G liaison. U.S. Navy Shark lag must close. The Americans, late to the bomb party, still fumble with their own cribs in Washington, their reads trailing by days. Morgan retreats to Hut 4's map room, where Wren plotters in silk stockings pin fresh fixes. U-436 at 60 and 10W, fuel low, ripe for the kill. But Joan lingers, staring into the fire's dying glow. She's Turing's protege, after all, his equations her Bible, the bomb her child. Cracking Shark wasn't just math. It was mercy for the merchantmen frostbitten in Murmansk convoys, their holds stuffed with lend-lease that might tip the scales at Stalingrad. Yet now, the worm turns. The more they read, the more the Germans glimpse the hand behind the curtain. By week's end, the suspicion metastasizes. A flurry of traffic, OKM circulars on Procedure 10, dummy traffic to flush leaks, rotor wheel swaps mid-month frantic as a cornered rat. Hut 8's bombs groan under the load, menus rewritten nightly, girls like Sarah Norton 19 from Birmingham, fingers raw from plugs collapsing at their stations, dreaming in German. One night, a false positive, a decrypt warning of total cipher overhaul imminent. The hut empties into the grounds, codebreakers packing the misty lawns, breath fogging like specters. Is it bluff or the beginning of the end? Travis calls it in the small hours, voice crackling over the secure line to Broadway. The game's afoot. They're closing the board. MI6's shadows in Berlin sparse hunted whisper back. Goering's Luftwaffe already murmurs of Enigma's frailty, Hess's defection in 41 a ghost that won't lie quiet. The machine was Goering's boast, Himmler's shield, asterisk unbreakable asterisk etched in every OKW vault. But Shark's fault, it's a fracture line. Naval ciphers bleed into Army air, shared rotors, mirrored keys. If Dönitz pulls the thread, the whole tapestry unravels. New machines. 4 rotor upgrades, the WWII's paranoia could cascade. Monthly keys to daily, plugboards to labyrinths, Bletchley starves. Inslee, alone in his Nissen hut billet, lights his pipe at last, the cherry glowing like a baleful eye. He's no mathematician, just a historian turned spy, but he sees the art. From Polish bomb prototypes smuggled in suitcases to this shark crack, the Atlantic's lungs refilled. Yet victory's pyre burns hot. The codebreakers realize it in fragments. A missed decrypt here, a wolfpack's uncanny dodge there. They're not just breaking codes, they're breaking belief. The moment Shark yielded, Enigma's doom was sealed, not in steel, but in suspicion. The Germans, sensing the invisible blade would lash out blindly, change everything. And in that chaos, how many months bought, how many lives? Dawn breaks gray over the park, wrens cycling in for the day shift, their skirts whipping in the wind. A new intercept pings, Enigma Sicherheit, Sofferteig Maßnahmen. Enigma security, immediate measures. The bombs spin up again, but the whir feels hollow now, like a heart skipping beats. What if the next menu fails, and when the overhaul hits, not if, does Bletchley fall with it, or does the real war, the shadow war, just begin? The Fracturing Veil. January 1943. The Y Station at Bowmanor Hall, Leicestershire. Snow dusts the aerial farms like powdered ash, muffling the world beyond the humming receivers. It's 4 a.m. and operator second class Elsie Whitlock, 22 from Croydon, her uniform starts stiff against the cold, adjusts her headphones, the leather cups warm from hours pressed to her ears. Static hisses like distant surf, then clarity. Morse dots and dashes, crisp from a U-boat's hydrophone array off the Faroes. KCH? KCH? The call-up. Then the encrypted body, a torrent of Enigma-spun gibberish beamed to Lorient's antennas. She transcribes it blind, pencil flying across the log sheet, the rhythm hypnotic, tap-tap pause dash. Another fish hooked, reeled to Bletchley by landline where it joins the daily deluge. But tonight the hall feels tainted. Elsie's chit-chat with the night sergeant over tepid cocoa and the taffy buzzes with rumor. Heard from a wren in Hut 4, Jerry's tweaking the dials. Mid-month changes, they say, bombs running hot as Hades. She doesn't know the half, but the unease gnaws, a splinter under the nail. At Bletchley, the decrypt from New Year's Eve asterisk Enigma Sicherheit, Sofferteig Maßnahmen asterisk has birth to Hydra. Immediate measures. Not a full purge, thank God, but salami slices. Rotor starting positions randomized twice monthly now, plugboard leads shuffled like a Pharaoh's deck. Hut 8's menus, once elegant cribs tailored to German pedantry, now fray at the edges. Joan's team, her girls, as Turing dubbed them in absentia, huddles over tea-stained tables, exhaust fumes from the bombs curling like cigarette smoke from a dozen Marlboros. Joan Clark herself, gaunt from skipped suppers, pours over a fresh intercept in the hut's alcove, the single lamp pooling light on her blotter like spilled ink. See here, she says to Perry Rutham, the Canadian immigré with his aviator's squint. The weather preambles off asterisk Wettervorhersage asterisk truncated, no standard format. They're varying the cribs. Ruthem's response is a grunt, his fingers drumming the bomb's casing dented from frantic resets. The machines, Polish-born miracles scaled by Turing's genius, 96 drums apiece, testing 10,000 permutations a second, now labor under protest. False stops multiply, menus that once cracked in hours now limp through days, outputs riddled with *failschledge** failures. Shark's yield dips to 60%, then 40%. Convoys like ONS 154 thread the needle blind in February gales. 2 freighters lost to U-468's Phantom strike before a belated fix pins her down. You can sense the strain in the air. The creak of floorboards under packing feet, the sharp intake of breath when a rotor jams, the brittle snap of pencils hurled in frustration. Hinsley storms the mansion at dawn, mud caking his wellies, Admiralty satchel slung like a bandolier. "Travis, it's bleeding out," he blurts, slamming the door on a gust that rattles the casements. The commander, collar unbuttoned, looks up from his cipher ledger, face etched like old vellum. "We adapt, Harry, always have." But his eyes betray the lie, bags like coal scuttles, the weight of what if *. Deniston's cables to Broadway plead for more bombs. American-built beasts from Op 20G, clunky but numerous, ferried across the pond in U-boat dodging convoys. Yet even as they arrive, bolted into Hut 11's expansion, the realization dawns, slow as a squall line. It's not just Shark, that's the gut punch. The naval Enigma Shark, dolphin for home waters, Medusa for the Med, shares blood with the Wehrmacht's veins. Army Keys mirror naval rotors, Luftwaffe traffic cribs from the same monthly sheets. The U-559 books, those sea-soaked saviors, unlock not one door but a corridor. And now, as Dönitz's paranoia festers, the changes cascade. Berlin's OKW, in its Bendelblock bunker, convenes cipher experts under readers' glare. The Grand Admiral, sidelined but snarling, demands audits. "The English anticipate us," he growls, maps of sunk boats a crimson rash across the table. No proof of breach, not yet. Allied intuition waved off as radar ghosts or traitor spies, but the math doesn't lie. Losses, 20 U-boats in January alone, crews fish food in the Labrador Current. Goering, ever the peacock, sniffs Luftwaffe Enigma for leaks. His Stuka pilot's orders, once plain as parade grounds, now demand fresh wirings. In Lorient, Dönitz acts. February 10th, a teletype blitz to all boats, *Rotorwechsel ob sofort Gamma new Einsetzen. Plugboard, Variant B *new rotors. Variant B, the wolfpacks at sea *Newland prowling the Gulf Stream scramble to comply. Enigma's gutted mid-patrol, settings relayed by tortured short signals. Bletchley catches fragments, but the cribs shatter. Hut 6's Army Watchers, decoding Africa Corps traffic for Monty's 8th Army, feel the tremor first. Rommel's supply runs to Tunis go opaque, a veil dropping over Tobruk's flanks. Then air, Goering's Eisensector keys shift, blinding bomber commands Pathfinders over the Ruhr. One night, 400 Lancasters wander lost, flak chewing 80 from the sky, havoc over Essen, factories untouched. Joan feels it in her bones, transcribing the first failed menu at 2 a.m., the bombs hiss fatting to wheeze. "It's the myth," she whispers to the empty hut, steam rising from her mug like a sigh. The Enigma wasn't just a machine, 3 rotors and 39-4 for Shark, a talisman. Himmler's SS guarded it like the Grail. OKW's manual swore unbreakable *, permutations beyond the stars. Cracking Shark, it was the first domino, toppled by Fasten and Grazier's drowned hands. But the doom wasn't in the break, it was in the realization. Germans sensing the sieve, plugging holes with panic. Mid-month changes become weekly, dummy traffic floods the ether, a smokescreen of noise. By March, Procedure 20 whispers in the corridors, the full overhaul Enigma M with 5 rotors, keys daily as dawn. Hinsley corners Travis in the billet garden, crocuses pushing through frost like stubborn hopes. "Sir, we've bought time, torch lands, Stalingrad bleeds them, but it's Pyrrhic. Every patch they slap on widens the rift. They're not fortifying, they're fleeing the fortress." Travis nods, slow, the wind tugging his scarf. He's seen codes die before, Zimmerman's telegram in 17, cracking the Kaiser's back, but this. Ultra's the war's hidden lung, inflating every thrust. Sicily next, Overlord dreaming in Eisenhower's tent. Lose it, and the Atlantic chokes anew, wolves resurgent by summer. The codebreakers grasp at piecemeal in the small hours. A wren sobbing over a jammed plugboard, a boffin sketching futile equations on a napkin. Shark's crack doomed Enigma not by exposure but by erosion. The myth's fragility laid bare, forcing a frenzy that outpaces adaptation. Bombs multiply to 200 by spring, girls conscripted by the 1,000, but the machine evolves faster in fear. One decrypt smuggled from a captured Feldpost, Enigma compromitted, new Maskanen in Twicklum. Compromised, new machine in development, the hut falls to murmurs, then silence. Turing returns from America, gaunt and brilliant, his face a mask. "We've woken the beast," he says simply over sherry in the pub, and beasts when cornered grow teeth. April blooms reluctant at Bletchley, daffodils nodding in the breeze. But in the huts the whir quickens, not triumph but terror. A fresh intercept, Gesamt Schlüsselumstellung 1, my, total key change, May 1st, the Shadow War erupts. Will they crack the new beast in time, or does the veil drop forever, leaving the Allies to fight blind? The Cascade of Shadows. April 1943. The expanded racks of Hut 11 Bletchley Park. Dust motes swirl in the shafts of light piercing the blackouts, catching on the oily sheen of overheating bombs. Now 88 strong, their thrum a low roar like an idling Lancaster squadron. Alan Turing stands at the heart of it, sleeves rolled to elbows, his face a pale map of sleepless furrows, chalk dust ghosting his knuckles like flour on a baker's hands. He's back from his transatlantic exile, the American bomb's blueprints tucked under his arm like contraband, but the victory tastes of ash. The May 1st intercept, Gesamt Schlüsselumstellung *, hangs pinned to the menu board like a death warrant, its teletype ribbon frayed at the edges. Total key change. Not a tweak but a tectonic shift, rotors recast, plugboards labyrinthine, cribs poisoned with deliberate gibberish. Shark's corpse cools, but Enigma's kin, Heimish for the Baltic, Offizier for High Command writhe in anticipation. Turing's voice cuts the din, soft and precise as a micrometer. Gentlemen and ladies, he amends with a ghost of a smile toward the plugboard girls, their hairnets askew, faces smudged with carbon. The Germans aren't evolving, they're devolving into frenzy. Every patch widens the wound. He gestures to the blackboard, equations sprawling like ivy, probability trees branching into oblivion, the bomb's 1023 paths now choked with variants. Joan Clark nods from her stool, menu sheets cascading from her lap like fallen leaves, her mind racing ahead. If May's keys hit as rumored daily wirings, gamma rotor mandatory, their read rate craters to 10%. Convoys blind, D-Day's whispers exposed, the Italian boots invasion stalled in harbors. You can almost touch the fracture. The sharp scent of scorched insulation from a tripped breaker, the collective exhale when a trial decrypt spits Sinlow's asterisk, nonsense, onto the chute. Hinsley bursts in mid-morning, rain slick from the psychopath, his briefcase a battering ram against the door. Admiralty's in uproar, he pants, Admiralty dispatches fanning across a trestle like surrender flags. Torch's follow-up, husky for Sicily, relies on air reads. Goering's flak dispositions, opaque now. Last raid on Turin, we flew into a trap, 27 Wellingtons down, the Ruhr's dams laughing at us. The room stills, bombs the only heartbeat. Sicily, 180,000 troops massing in Algiers, landing craft bobbing like corks. Without Enigma's bleed, Rommel's panzers redeploy unchecked, the meta cauldron anew. Across the channel in Berlin's chancellery basement, the panic blooms into policy. April 18th, a Fura conference, smoke-hazed and fevered, Hitler hunched over situation maps, his tremor hand jabbing at the Atlantic's blue void. The cipher betrays us, he rasps, voice a whip crack echoing off concrete. Reader, gray and defiant, counters with logs, 35 U-boats lost in 3 months, the wolfpack's fangs filed to nubs. Dönitz, summoned from his U-boat lair, stands ramrod, his monocle glinting like a shard. Main Fura, the evidence mounts, English ASW patterns defy chance. Enigma must harden. Goering, bloated in his white uniform, sneers from the corner. My Luftwaffe loses the same ghosts. Shared keys, a sieve for all. The room erupts, cipher chief Erich Felgible, sweat beading under his peaked cap, defending the unbreakable with charts of permutations tall as cathedrals. But doubt festers. Hess's flight, Ultra's uncanny nudges at deep, whispers of breach swirl like Stasi shadows. By May's Eve, the overhaul crashes down. Teletype storms from OKM, Enigma M, Fünf Retter, Teglich New, Kane Wiederholungen, 5 rotors, daily new, no repetitions. U-boats at sea receive it piecemeal, short bursts via sturgeon backup, but half garble in the ionosphere's spite. In Lorient's gloom, mechanics swarm the pens, Enigmas disemboweled on workbenches, new beta-gamma wheels slotted like puzzle pieces from hell. Crews, gaunt from short rations, eye the machines with mistrust, asterisk this the shield that failed them off Cape Farewell. One skipper, U-953's Captain Lieutenant, mutters to his watch officer, "If the Tommies crack this too, we're done, ghosts in the wire." Morale phrase, desertion spike in breast, sentries shooting shadows. At Bletchley, the deluge breaks. Intercepts flood in pre-overhaul scraps, frantic as rats fleeing a sink, but post-May 1st, silence vast as the void. Hut 8's output teletype idles, its keys dusty, girls rotating to tea and tears in the billet lounge. Turing convenes the firefighting team, Welchman his traffic analysis a scalpel, de Grey from Hut 3, army keys slipping through fingers like wet soap. They burn midnight oil in the mansion's billiard room, queues abandoned for crib hunts, scavenging old Wetterkirschlüssel echoes, probing for predictable flaws. They're overcorrecting, Turing posits, packing with that peculiar gait, hands knotted behind. Panic breeds slop. A 5-rotor bomb, feasible, but the wiring, there'll be echoes, ghost cribs in the salutes. Jones sketches it out, a mock menu, rotors chained in hypotheticals, the girls, now 150 strong, testing permutations till their eyes cross. The toll mounts, visceral as a fresh wound. June's convoys, HX-247 ONS-5 skirt the packs by inches, radar and hedgehogs their only eyes, 5 merchants to the deep before a crib flickers through, Grupp Igil 55N20W *A sliver but enough western approaches vectors escorts, U-304 depth charge to splinters. Yet the cost, Sicily's Husky launches half-blind, Luftwaffe flakfields guess from scraps, 14 gliders lost on the first wave, paratroopers drowning in the shallows off Gela. Monty fumes in his trailer, where's the bloody traffic? Churchill in Checker's war room cables Travis, Ultra must not fail us now, Overlord hangs. The PM knows, intuits perhaps from oblique Admiralty nods, the Shadow War's pivot. Enigma's doom, seeded by Shark's crack, now reaps. Germans so spooked they reinvent the wheel daily, buying security with chaos. Inslee witnesses the human fracture one dawn, finding a Wren Mary 21 from Devon curled under her desk, sobbing into her apron. It won't stop, she whispers, plugs scattered like dice. The whir, it's eating us. He kneels, awkward in his tweed, murmuring of Dunkirk saves, Coventry spared factories. But inside, the realization crystallizes. Cracking Shark didn't just win the Atlantic, it ignited a bonfire. The myth's immolation, unbreakable reduced to a punchline in OKW cellars, forces a cascade. Army Enigma mutates for the Eastern Front, blinding Zhukov's probes at Kursk, air keys scramble, letting Peenemoon's V2 whispers evade the spies. Bletchley adapts American bombs arrive by the score, Turing's designs birthing Colossus for fish traffic, but the lag widens. Months bought for Torch, but Overlord, the veil thins to gauze. By July, a breakthrough glimmers. A captured liaison officer from U-504 babbling under sodium pentothal in a London safehouse yields a plugboard fragment. HUD 11 feasts, bombs reprogrammed overnight. Reads trickle 20%, then 50%. Dönitz's dispatches plain again, U-boot Krieg unhaltbar. U-boat war untenable. He withdraws the packs from the Atlantic, a death knell sounded. But the codebreakers know the truth, etched in Turing's weary eyes over Sherry at the White Hart, Shark's yielding doomed the lineage. The Germans, haunted by the unseen blade, built a fortress of quicksand, changes so frantic they self-sabotage, crews confused, traffic snarled. Enigma falls not in one cataclysm but 1,000 cuts self-inflicted. August sun gilds the park's lake, wrens picnicking on the grass oblivious to the hut's fever. Final intercept from Goering's desk. Enigma Ersetzen, Project Schakal, replace Enigma, Project Shark, irony bitter as quinine, the beast devours its tail. But as bombs were anew, Joan wonders aloud to Hinsley under the eaves. We've won the Shadow War, but at what dawn does the light break? And from Berlin a whisper via MI6's ragged net, the Führer's rage purging cipher chiefs. The endgame accelerates. Will Ultra outrun the overhaul, or does the new beast, Schakal, swallow them whole? The Myth's Reckoning. September 1943. The teletype room in Hut 3, Bletchley Park. Autumn fog clings to the fenland like a shroud, seeping under the doors to dampen the floor rushes, but inside the air crackles with dry heat from the relays. Colossus's elder siblings, Turing's digital progeny, chewing through Lawrence traffic with valves glowing like fireflies in a jar. Jerry de Grey, the patrician veteran with his half-moon spectacles perpetually fog. Hunches over the output, the paper feed stuttering like a machine gunner with a jammed Bren. It's 5 a.m. and the decrypt unspools in fits, Operation Citadel, Shadern, Enigmalik Vermutet, Kursk's carnage, the Red Army's anvil smashing Panzers flat, and a footnote from Halder's ghost-written memo, Enigma suspected in the leak. Not proof, but poison. De Grey's hand trembles as he stamps it, immediate asterisk. A wren orderly snatching it for the dispatch rider, her bicycle tires hissing into the mist toward the Admiralty's couriers. The cascade accelerates, a domino fall in slow motion. Shark's crack, that October plunge by Fasten, Grazier, and Young Brown into the U-559's tomb, has metastasized into mythicide. Enigma, the Führer's cipher crown, forged in the Weimar labs as a commercial toy, hardened by Scharnhorst cryptographers into a fortress of 150 million paths, now crumbles under its own weight. The Germans, haunted by the Atlantic's emptying graves, lash out in terror, overhauls not monthly but weekly, keys not shared but siloed, naval Shark severed from Army's red, Luftwaffe's green, a fractured prism. In OKW's vaults, Cipher Chief Hans Fillinger paces under swastika banners, his reports to Cadel a litany of alarms. Compromise indicators, 87% correlation in Allied interdictions. Recommend total reseed. But reseed with what? Resources starve, Berlin's factories bombed to rubble, scientists conscripted to V2 fever dreams. Enigma M's 5 rotors jam in the field, U-boat skippers cursing the added weight in cramped control rooms, Luftwaffe signals snarl in the ether, Stukas circling blind over Anzio. You can feel the unraveling in the flesh. At Bletchley, Turing's team, now a village of 9,000 souls, Nissen Hut sprawling like a secret shantytown, burns brighter, hotter. Joan Clark, promoted to deputy head of HUD 8, her engagement deterring a whispered footnote in the files, orchestrates the counterstroke. Hybrid menus blending captured fragments with statistical sorcery. Colossus prototypes cracking non-Enigma fish codes to backfill the void. They're their own saboteurs, she tells Hinsley over Spam sandwiches in the canteen, her voice steady but eyes ringed like a raccoon's mask. Panics the real bomb, testing every permutation till they break themselves. Hinsley, promoted to Director of Naval Intelligence, nods, his pipe a cold relic. He's seen the ledgers. U-boat production peaks at 30 a month, but sinkings match it, the Atlantic's Flora-Steel necropolis. Dönitz, in his Lorient Redoubt, drafts the resignation in his mind, *the cipher war is lost*, before Hitler recalls him to Berlin, a scapegoat in Admiral's braid. Across the Reich, the myth phrase thread by thread. In Rastenburg's Wolf's Lair, October rains drumming on pine beams. Hitler rants to his inner circle, Jodl, Cadel, the cipher aides trembling in corners. The machine fails us, English witches divine our thoughts. He slams a fist on the baize, upsetting a lamp that gutters shadows across the Enigma prototype, its keys mocking in brass. Goering, his opiates dulling the edge, proposes purges. 20 cryptographers to Sachsenhausen, suspected of defeatism. But the damage deepens. Shared keys, once Enigma's elegance, become its noose. Naval tweaks bleed into army traffic, blinding Guderian's Ardennes probes. Air variants scramble, letting Mitchell's pound Plosti unhindered. Romania's oil fields blooming black. One decrypt from a by-laid-out Luftwaffe pilot captured near Bari. Enigma unzuverlässig. Manual Zurück zu Doppelziffern. Unreliable. Back to double ciphers manually. The high command fractures, field marshals resorting to couriers on motorcycles, dispatches lost to partisans in the Vosges. Bletchley harvests the chaos. November, Husky's mop-up in Sicily yields Luftwaffe orders plain as postcards. Kesselring's fallback lines to Monte Cassino anticipated by Clark's Fifth Army, the Gustav line cracked before it hardens. December, a godsend from Op 20G, the Yanks pinwheel bombs sinking with British beasts, Reeds hitting 70% on the new M variant. Tommy Brown, now 18 and a full seaman on HMS Belfast, hears oblique tailies in Portsmouth pubs, Jerry's signals gone haywire, lads *, and touches the George Cross ribbon at his throat, a talisman from that med night. He doesn't know his role in the unraveling, but in quiet watches staring at the channel's gray chop, he senses it. The wolves tamed not by guns alone, but by ink and ingenuity. The codebreakers' realization peaks in the new year, 1944. Travis gathers the heads in the mansion's winter garden, snow crusting the statues like ermine on ghosts. Shark's death sentence was Enigma's, he says, breath fogging the chill. We didn't just crack a code, we cracked their faith. The overhaul frenzy, it's suicide. Resources diverted, errors compounded, the machine too brittle for their blitz. Turing, bundled in overcoat and scarf, his mind already on post-war computers, adds dryly. Entropy wins. Their attempts at security amplify the noise, our cribs thrive in it. Joan, sketching rotor ghosts on a napkin, feels the weight lift, not triumph, but release. The toll, 200 souls cracked by the grind, shipped to asylums or quiet farms, the park's like a suicide's whisper. But the math holds, Ultra's nudge turns the tide, Anzio secure, Cassino flanked, the Bocage's hedgerows mapped before Mulberry Harbor's kiss Normandy's sand. D-Day dawns, June 6, 1944. From Bletchley's war room, Hinsley watches the dispatches fly. Enigma scraps pinning Rommel's reserves at Calais, von Rundstedt's panzers idling as Omaha's cliffs run red. The veil, thin to gossamer by Shark's long echo, holds just long enough. Losses mount in the east, Kursk's ghost, Bagration's hammer, but the west cracks open, allies pouring like floodwater. By August, Paris liberated, the Seine's bridges unblown thanks to crib demolition order. Dönitz, promoted to Reader's throne, stares at empty pens in Flensburg, his wolves beached. Enigma persists, a zombie cipher, but reads flow at 90%. German panic, the unwitting ally, their Schakal project stillborn in rubble. The reckoning comes quiet in May 45. VE Day's bells toll as Travis burns the files in the park's incinerator, acrid smoke curling skyward. Turing wanders the grounds, apple in hand, cyanide shadow not yet cast, musing on machines that think. Joan, married now to a fellow boffin, packs her desk. The Wetter Kirschlüssel yellowed relic tucked into a drawer like a love letter from the abyss. Hinsley, knighted in whispers, reflects in his memoir's draft, "We doomed it the moment we touched Shark, not by breach but by belief's betrayal. The unbreakable broke itself in fear of shadows we cast." Brown, demobbed, fades into Civvy Street, a postman in Croydon, his secret sealed till declassifications thaw. Fasten and Grazier, bronze on Portsmouth's memorial, watch the channel, steamers glide unmolested. Enigma's grave, scattered, rotors melted for scrap, manuals pulped. But its lesson endures, in the shadow war the sharpest blade is doubt. The codebreakers, those tweed-clad titans, didn't win with words alone, they won with the Germans' own unraveling dread. The machine that promised 1,000 years lasted 6, doomed from the deep by boys and books in a sub's dying gasp. And as the sun sets on Bletchley's spires, the Chilterns whispering farewell, one wonders, in the next war's codes, will faith fracture faster, or has the myth's ghost taught us all? And